What is going on, guys? Trench's Fleet here, back at it again with another video, coming at you with a very special May the 4th video, because as we all know, the newest Star Wars series, Bad Batch, just premiered today. Guys, I'm joined today by GleppsGaming, and we're going to be talking about the new episode.
What is up, members of Trench Fleet? GleppsGaming here. I actually have my own channel. There's going to be a link somewhere on the screen. You can check it out if you want to. I'm a gamer, playing some games. But
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to get into this discussion.
Yes. Guys, just so you know, there will be spoilers in this discussion, obviously. So you have been warned. Turn away if you have not seen the episode yet, because we'll be going full on into all the spoilers from this first episode. All right, so to start things off here, just talking sort of thoughts, reactions, maybe a little theorizing. I mean, you know, definitely want to manage our expectations here, but at the same time, it's like you got to theorize a little bit. So to start off, what were your initial thoughts, Gleps? And so far, based on this first episode, who is your favorite member of the Bad Batch?
Based on this episode, so first I'm going to start with my initial reaction is, one of the first things I thought when it opened is, wow, the animation looks great. It is the Clone Wars style, but taken up to another level. It was so good, and getting to see like the lightsabers in the snow, awesome.
Yeah.
And so far, honestly, one of my Omega might be my favorite so far.
Really? Oh.
She's got some style. She's got some confidence.
Yeah.
I'm excited. She's the wild card. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think honestly, I was pretty stunned by some of the shots, like especially the close-ups. I mean, season 7 of the Clone Wars looked amazing, but this was just like very clearly building on that. I mean, some shots I was like, dang, like this, they have really taken the animation to a whole nother level. It's hard to say for me who's my favorite so far. It's hard to say. I think based on this first episode, definitely not my favorite, but Crosshair I think is the most interesting, just based on his story arc. And then, but I mean, I love Echo because I love his history, but I really like Hunter so far and how he's coming to terms with like what it means for him to be a good leader. Yeah, so it's hard to say who is my favorite so far. I'm really looking forward to seeing the development that all these characters are going to get throughout, because right now it's like we know them from the Clone Wars, we know all their quirks, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them getting some development. And I think probably Crosshair and Hunter probably got the most from this first episode. I thought their dynamic was handled really well, and just the dynamic of the group in general, I mean, really made it feel like there was a history there. Like they, you know, it wasn't forced. I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see all these guys being super close. You know, the way they handled the training arena thing that Tarkin wanted them to face. But anyway,
I totally agree, and it's almost a little bit sad even in the first episode, seeing this one of the members of the squad sort of turning against the others.
Right.
Partially by force and partially by choice, even wanting to just follow orders. But it was almost sad seeing that, even though we've only seen this group before in a couple episodes of the Clone Wars, seeing that group dynamic broken up a little bit.
Right. And I think that adds to the emotional impact, I feel like, because if the whole squad had stuck together, then, you know, this just adds a more like gritty, realistic element. I feel like one of them staying behind. I think it's really cool. My brain is all over the place right now, but I think my favorite part, the part I was most surprised to see, was honestly the beginning, which was of course the Order 66. We get yet another perspective of Order 66, and this time from the view of Depa Billaba, who we didn't get to see a lot. I mean, she's just sitting in the background of some of the movies. We did not get to see a lot of her at all, so really cool to see that. And then, of course, her Padawan, Caleb Doom, more commonly known as Kanan Jarrus from Rebels, which was like really cool to see that. I loved that.
Super.
I thought
this
that was
definitely one of those shows shows like The Mandalorian, where if you've seen Rebels and the Clone Wars, it really just adds to the experience. It's just the Easter eggs and the little things here and there. It really just adds to the experience.
They are definitely rewarding people for keeping up with all the different shows, for sure. And I will say, I thought it was funny. They got the voice actor for Kanan, Freddie Prinze Jr., I think. And like, I mean, I thought it was cool for continuity, but man, he's supposed to be, I don't know how old he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a young kid, but he definitely sounded like a grown man. Like
he did. He sounded a little bit strange for a young kid.
I thought that was funny, but it was cool to have the Kanan voice actor back. That's a huge part of his story arc, is like his not being able to trust the clones, and it's like we see how that originates here. So that was super cool. But what did you think about just the way that this kind of sets the tone of like the transition from the Republic to the Empire? Because that's a huge part of this show, you know?
I thought that it set the tone great. I mean, from the beginning, this show it's starting off dark. The very beginning was Order 66, and we saw the death of one Jedi, and then even further into the episode, we saw the clones, the Bad Batch, sent to execute a group of traitors, supposedly, that they thought were going to be battle droids, that ended up being just some people on, blank on the name of the planet.
On Onderon, yeah.
Yes, Onderon, yes.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that, like you were saying earlier, that it's just like gritty. I saw a meme a while ago about the Clone Wars. It was like the first 3 seasons are, fun, go to new planets, and the rest of the seasons are like, oh my gosh, we just killed a child. That wasn't a bad guy. We committed heinous war crimes. Like, we're really picking up right there. Like, they've been sent to execute children, and it's already starting off very dark.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was so revealing, Crosshair pointing his scope towards the old lady. I distinctly remember that. He's like about to shoot, this old lady, and Hunter, he has a conscience. He's like, no, like, why? We can't just follow these orders. And like, I think that's a huge aspect of it. And like, I mean, what makes it so sad is in the Clone Wars, we get to see the clones as individuals, they really build up their individuality, their strategic value, their ability to like make their own decisions in battle. And then for all of them to just turn into these mindless troops for the Empire, basically. It's like, man. And so what's really interesting is that the Bad Batch, the way they're responding, the way they're not so loyal to the Republic that they would go against their conscience, to fulfill a mission or whatever. So it's like to see these clones without the inhibitor chips, or at least like maybe their genetic whatever, to see them being the only ones really questioning. There's the scene where we get Palpatine's speech plucked straight from Revenge of the Sith, where he's talks about like,
my life has left me scarred and torn.
Yeah, I loved Wrecker. He's like, oh well, that. What did he say? He said something funny in response to that. He's like,
he did. I don't remember exactly what I know.
He's like, oh, you can say that again. I thought that was pretty funny. I liked that. But I mean, you see all the other clones. They're cheering. They're like, yeah, Empire, and it's like, wait, what? And it's like, so again, Crosshair being like, Republic, Empire, what's the difference? And so it's the fact that, Hunter and the rest of, Hunter, Tech, Echo, Wrecker, the fact that they are like, no, there is a difference. You know what I mean? Like, or we're not gonna just do what we're told just because, basically. We're not just gonna blindly follow orders. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really cool to see Saw Gerrera. He had an interesting speech to give about how it's like, like the galaxy has changed, and it's like, it's crazy to see, because it's like, we see Revenge of the Sith, we see how it affects like the Jedi, the main characters, but to see how Order 66 and the Empire affects like the clones, and then just regular people who are like, man, we just got out of this war. Like, we just freed our planet from the Separatists, and now there's this new oppressive regime on the horizon. It's like, and we can see like the seeds of the rebellion there, you know, because they're like, no, I mean, Palpatine clearly has too much power. Like, we got to do something about this. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought that was, it was very telling that the people could already tell that, you know, I think he said something about the Clone War has ended, but a civil war is about to begin.
Mm-hmm.
The people could already tell that while the Clone War had indeed ended, something more was coming, and it was going to be an even longer road.
Right. And I mean, you know, I'm sure a lot of people were thinking along the lines of Crosshair, where they're like, nah, I mean, what's the difference? So it's it's just a really interesting time period for the galaxy. And this episode was very much like a setup for a very necessary setup for the rest of the show. Because what I feel like, and you know, we were talking about this earlier, I feel like this is going to be more akin to The Mandalorian or Rebels, where it's like we follow this group of characters week by week. They explore a new planet. They have a new mission. Like, I think a big part of this will just be seeing all these different planets, all these different people, seeing the galaxy react to this new empire. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think going forward about the format of the show, or potentially, what it'll be?
I totally agree. I think, like you were saying earlier, that this could be sort of a mix of like the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian, where we get to see a lot of different parts of the galaxy, which is something great about the Clone Wars. But then we also follow this specific group, and then the other thing could bear some semblance to the Mandalorian is that we have this mysterious element, this person, this thing that we, as we discussed, could potentially be force sensitive. That's one of the theories. But from a person or a thing that we learn more and more about throughout the series, that for some reason the Empire seems to have an interest in or wants to retrieve.
Right. So yeah, Omega continues to be a point of interest, because it's like, I think the big question for me is like, is she a Jango, like a female Jango clone? Because, you know, as we were talking about before, she really doesn't look much like Jango at all, or like the young, you know, Boba clones. I mean, she has the accent. But she doesn't look, I think like the hair is throwing me off, because the hair looks so much like Palpatine. And if she is force sensitive, which it seems like it kind of seems like she is, because that scene where they're in the prison cell and she's sort of like is telling Crosshair like, oh, I know how you feel, like I know what you're gonna do or whatever. She has some sort of ability to, like, I don't want to say read his mind, but I mean kind of though. Like
she certainly does seem to have a sort of sixth sense, and even when the Batch was leaving on their assigned mission by Tarkin, she seemed to have a bad feeling about what was going on in Kamino. And that's, you know, whether she heard something or just kind of felt it, there was definitely something there that she knew something was up.
Right. And yeah, you make a good point. I mean, she's like almost like the Grogu of this series. It's like this kid that tags along, that there's a lot of mystery surrounding. So yeah, no, it's pretty interesting. I think another interesting thing is the role of the Kaminoans in this. As we see now, like, the Empire and the Kaminoans, like, they kind of have beef now. Like, Tarkin was, Tarkin's like, man, we don't need clones anymore. Clones are, like, too expensive. We don't need it. And I almost got the sense at the end that, I don't know the name of the head, like, scientist or the prime minister from Kamino. But, they definitely, I really get the sense they have some sort of ulterior motive going on, like, against the Empire. So I think that there will be a lot of layers to this, because the Empire has their own goals. Seems like the Kaminoans have their own goals, and then we have the Bad Batch, who their goal is pretty much just to get by as they're being hunted down. So pretty interesting. What do you make of that, the Kaminoans?
I agree. I would very much like to see the Kaminoans be sort of a constant in the series, sort of see them show up again later with, I don't know, maybe a small army of their own or something. Something that could really change the tide of what's happening, what we think is happening in the show when they show up again.
Right.
That'd be very interesting.
Right. I think I don't know much about it. I think there was, maybe in some of the older Legends books or something, there's something called the Kaminoan Rebellion or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to read up on what that is exactly, but it almost seems like they're building towards the Kaminoans actually turning against the Empire in some sort of way, which would be pretty interesting. Very interested to see what's going on there, because I mean, as we know, the Empire wiped out all the Geonosians. You know, they used their planet to test the Death Star laser. So I almost wonder, like, is Palpatine gonna say, all right, you've served your purpose, like, time for you Kaminoans to go, you know? I don't know. So, all right, going forward, any sort of theories or ideas, or, you know, based on some of the trailers we've seen, like, what characters do you think are gonna show up? Like, what predictions are we thinking here, Gleps?
So something that occurred to me potentially, at the end they say they're going to visit a friend, and we were discussing earlier that Fennec is in the trailer. So I'm wondering if they potentially have a way of knowing her already. If maybe that's the potential friend they're going to visit, because I can't imagine this friend is a Jedi. They wouldn't know where any Jedi are at this point due to what happened. So it'd have to be a regular person somewhere.
Right. Yeah, that totally could be the case. I almost feel like with Fennec coming up, I mean, this show's all about clones. I'm like, I wonder if Boba Fett is going to be a part of this as well. If Fennec is, and who knows what other bounty hunters might join in the mix. Yeah, my first thought was like, is it Rex? But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to play the Rex card that soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing I have heard, I forget his name. I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to get a fact check here. Okay, Cut LaQuaine. I don't know if you remember him. Do you remember the clone who defected, went and lived on that random planet, and he had a family?
Oh yes, yeah, I do.
I heard the theory that it might be him, which I don't know. I don't know how Hunter would know him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they would know each other or not. I thought I'd throw that out there for the sake of wild speculation. But it could. I mean, it could be some new character. We don't even know. I don't know. It'll be. I mean, I think for sure though, at some point, we'll be seeing a lot of familiar clones besides Rex. I mean, I've thought, since they announced the show, I'm like, man, they got to continue Commander Cody's story with how he joins the Empire. Like, I think that'd be really interesting. Because I think ultimately this show is just building up towards how the Empire phases out clone troopers and what happens to all them. Because just something tells me, like, something grim is going to go down, because we don't really see many clone troopers at all by the time of Rebels. So I almost wonder if the Empire is going to want to wipe them out or something, you know? I don't know.
So on Cut LaQuain's page, he has met Captain Rex. So that's if Dark Force 99 knows Captain Rex, he could potentially have mentioned this rogue clone that's now settled down on another planet.
Yeah.
So it's possible that they could know of his existence. I don't know if they would know him personally, but it's possible they could know of his existence.
Man, that would be wild. That would be wild. I feel like at some point in this show, we're gonna be getting a pretty decent amount of Clone Wars cameos. Like, I really think, I feel like this is a show where it's like, if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, I feel like you can jump in. You know, as we got a little watch party together. We're watching with as the viewers know, Josh from Fourth Down Takes, and he hasn't seen the Clone Wars, but he was still able to get invested in these characters, get invested in the story. So I think this is like a good jumping in point for a lot of people, but I at the same time, I think if you've seen the Clone Wars, it's just gonna be that much better, you know?
I totally agree. Now, this has no basis at all. This is not a theory at all.
Oh,
This
go
is
for
just
it.
when they said a friend, my first thought jumped to Hondo,
Oh,
which I know is totally out of the question. I feel like there'd be no way of knowing him, but I just think he's awesome as a character. I love him. Seeing him again would be awesome.
Man, I completely agree. I would. You can never get enough Hondo. I mean, that'd be. I could totally see him showing up at some point. That'd be super.
He does seem to be in the right place at the right time quite a lot.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I feel like what's gonna happen is they're gonna go off, form their own sort of like mercenary group. You know, pick up some missions and whatnot. And if they're getting into the bounty hunting game, Hondo would certainly be involved in that kind of arena for sure. So I could totally see that happening. Like, that'd be awesome. Any closing thoughts, Gleps, on the episode, or the
just one more closing thought about something maybe potentially in the future of the series. Something that we've discussed before also is potentially seeing an Inquisitor, which would be a very interesting foe to face. I feel like that's definitely, at this point, we know that the Empire wants the Bad Batch gone. We want them wiped out because they have not obeyed orders. They have shown they're willing to disobey orders, so they want them hunted down. So I feel like an Inquisitor is a valid thing to send after them if their threat is gauged to be high enough. I feel like that's not out of the realm of possibilities for sure.
No, definitely. I would love to see particularly the Grand Inquisitor return. I think that'd be really cool. I mean, the fact that Kanan was in this episode, it's like clearly they're not against bringing in Rebels characters, you know? So
Exactly. Love that.
that would be super cool. I mean, I think like you know what could be is like, because I feel like Crosshair is gonna be the main one hunting them down for the time being. But perhaps, you know, Crosshair doesn't really get too far in his mission, and then they have to assign an Inquisitor to accompany him. That'd be pretty interesting. I mean, we know Tarkin likes his Inquisitors, so awesome. Well, yeah, I thought this was a great first episode. I think it's a perfect setup for the rest of the show. It totally just recaptured that same Clone Wars feel. I mean, it feels like even the intro, you know, with the announcer guy, and all the clips and from actually Revenge of the Sith, like they were animated in Clone Wars style, which is really cool. But just, you know, seeing this show continue on the legacy of the Clone Wars, it felt just completely familiar. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, we're jumping back to the Clone Wars Season 8. It really feels like Clone Wars Season 8. So really looking forward to this. Super excited because the next episode is this Friday. They'll continue to release on Friday after this week, but we don't have to wait a full week for the second episode. So that is pretty exciting. Yeah, guys, so that is gonna be it for the discussion. Be sure to let us know your thoughts on the first episode of The Bad Batch down in the comments. Guys, be sure to check out GleppsGaming over on YouTube.
Yeah, it was great joining you, trying to just leave this video, and I'll see you guys in another video, hopefully.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of collabs this summer. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.